Fireman, powder man, hey, she got a man, hey, cause them tables turn. Yo, I gotta talk low cause niggas sleeping on me. Nigga, I had to pause the beat because your lady called me. Nigga, I had to keep going when they hated on me. You feeling like a failure, nigga, welcome to the club and knock down 1,000,000 times to ring the bell and show me love. Raised by your dog, nigga, this nothing showing us cause I already won the war, so the easy part was showing up. See niggas on the ball, my nigga. You square me like steak and veggies with a roll, my nigga. I cut myself and give it straight from the soul, my nigga. I can't be choosing, baby girl, I'm already chose my love. That a man, highlight your but it's like over love. Think I had it all. Looking at the stat sheet, you think I had the ball. Shawty got this on the tape, but she cool with the mall. She just wanna ride, she just cool with it all. Early as them up, you probably think I had a job. Life still a blessing, nigga. Shout out to them gods. Say the gave us always some, so keep your boy, come drink your water. Think deep, but let it go and think that. Let it go and think that. I'd rather apply pressure than apply to get job. It's better. I'm thinking clearer, I'm thinking harder. Think deep, breathe deeper, let it harvest. Manifest it. You're more than man, you gotta check it. Open your mind, life gon' teach you. It's better to test you. I need a Tesla, so drive yourself to rap the next one. I hate to get so technical. I gotta be professional. You gotta know where you're going. You gotta be directional. I take a knee and start confessional. We thinking millions, niggas gotta be blind not to see it. It's the American dream.
What's good, sis? What's good? Ooh, we here, baby. We here. Live and direct. Getting it started. Can you hear me, sis? Is the audio you there? Shoot. Anyway, my
get that energy up. Get that vibration up.
Right.
Well, since we on the subject,
my computer had me locked out.
I have a question for you more advanced students. What is our beliefs on Jesus?
Ooh, he's the Son of God.
Was he real or a fictional character?
He's the Son of God. S-U-N.
What?
He
what
is
happened?
the Son of God. The S-U-N.
Son of God. S-U-N.
Yeah. But how do we feel? The question is how do we feel about Jesus?
Yeah, I mean, I just got my book. Got my book, and when I first open it up, the first thing I see is know thyself and thy Father God Allah, the genealogy of Jesus, and then I stop right there and I put it down. I said, okay, I'm gonna get back to it.
Right.
But we have to remember that these stories were written anthropomorphic. Okay, so they symbolize energies. These are characters that symbolize energies. So they represent different things.
The zodiac.
That's wrong.
So I think her specific question is, did the character or the person Jesus exist? Was he a real being?
Exactly. Was he a real being? No. And is that what the prophet teaches?
I'm saying for my personal studies, that Jesus is the Son of God. He's a persona or archetype of the Son.
Right.
So no, from my standpoint, he was not a real person.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the Christ consciousness, the more
correct.
Like she said, that's anthropomorphic. Just like you don't look at any of our ancient symbols of the deities, like let's say Thoth, for instance. There wasn't somebody walking around with a dog's head that was a real thing or person.
Mm-hmm.
It's an energy and it's a vibrational frequency that was taught in that form.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I understand that, and that's how I've always understood it. But when I opened up the Holy Koran and found that on page 3 mention of Jesus, and then it goes on to say, dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for good, peace, and happiness for all those that love Jesus. Again, I haven't read that far, but I wasn't expecting to open up the Quran, this Holy Quran, and see mention of Jesus. So I'm just, before I get further into my studies, I just wondered what you guys thought the prophets' teachings on Jesus are.
Right.
You Jesus.
That's what I was gonna say. Thank
What you say?
You Jesus. You're justice, because Jesus is another code word for justice.
you.
Those
Absolutely.
those teachings come in degrees as you study.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
these
as
are
I know it
codes
as
to be
well.
broken.
Exactly.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
These are codes to be broken. And as your consciousness rises, they unfold for you like a lotus.
Boom.
Bam.
Boom.
Right there.
So in my understanding as well, Don, I don't know that person actually really exists. It's us trying to achieve Christ consciousness through this information, through these books. We're learning what that means.
Okay. Well,
Exactly.
just thank you for clarifying that, because that's why I didn't get past page 3, because I said Jesus. I said Jesus.
I probably been, if I was there with you chilling, I probably would have bust out that book.
She done closed it up. But
I didn't get past page 3.
Another stall. Yeah.
So you can just remove that, they anthropomorphify the story. So for the layman, yeah, that's a real person. But for
now,
for the for the lay person, yeah, that's a real person. You can still glean something from that, But from the adept, it has a totally different meaning.
There you go. There you go.
Cam, did you want to answer? I'll go last.
Just in our continued studies, we're gonna grasp the complete understanding of that. We just got, like I said earlier, I said I asked down and read and study.
Right.
I really wish there was someone here where I could form a study group with, because it would be powerful to sit with people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Of the same mindset to study this.
Right.
Well, what about this guy you just played? I see he got a lot of followers. What does he do on the regular?
Who's that?
The guy y'all just played.
On the YouTube?
Yeah, that brother is pretty, he's been around for a minute, and he's pretty well read. So if you would like, just go to his YouTube page and check him out.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the things that Willa had mentioned is, reading some of the treaties. And we can also do that with the Circa 7. We can have a session where, part of it's read and we discuss it, so we can get our lessons in together.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that as well.
Yeah, a study group also.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Because I met Miss Faye we met in the grocery store, by the way. True story.
Tell me about this. Tell me this story. I want to see how did that unfold.
I tell you.
Just in the grocery store is so odd to meet somebody be like, let's talk about occult signs and Moorish history.
Right. And it's amazing. I go to my grave, telling this story, proud, because that's how it happened. It was Allah's doing. I just say that. I was in the produce section getting ready to get my fruits, vegetables. What were we standing next to? The sweet potatoes? Or
yeah, it was sweet potatoes and the ginger.
Bell peppers,
vegetables.
ginger.
Damn, y'all got it down by a sign.
Right. I was just there getting my fruit, and then she came along. I was like, "Oh, excuse me, man. Let me move out the way." And from there, it just went. It just.
I noticed you had your turban on.
Oh, yes, my turban. Yes, I did.
So I posed the question to see if it was just a head wrap.
Look at that.
You remember what I told you?
To the world.
Do you remember what I told you? It was a
Oh,
uh I think I said it's a head wrap. I'm a Moor. It's just our natural headdress. I think I gave that answers or something along those lines. And
mm-hmm.
turned out it amazed me with her next response. You know, it was just, oh my God, somebody else knows that about Moor. Oh my God. You know, it's
In
like
Arkansas.
in
In
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
In Arkansas, exactly, brother. You exactly in Arkansas, and she a sister too. Oh yes, this is just divine, and it was amazing. The reason why it's amazing because I was at home and all day I had been knowing I gotta go to the store. Mind you, this is the early parts of the COVID in 2020, so everybody was a little, on edge, but not to the point of insanity they soon, became. So I said, I need to go to the store, but I don't feel like going all the way across town to Chanel, which is on the western side of Little Rock, which is what we all refer to as like almost the Beverly Hills of Little Rock. Anyway,
Wow.
I live close to the highway, the freeway, interstate freeway this way. And so it would have been easier for me to go down that way, catch the freeway, and go right down to the next town, which is a town called it wasn't Bryant, since it was what, Benton that we were in
Uh-huh. Been.
down
Mm-hmm.
in Benton at that Kroger's. So I said, let me just go there because I can go in, get my stuff, then come right back, get off freeway, and I'm home. Boom. End of story. So I had said to myself previously, a few days before that, I had gotten down on my knees and I prayed to Allah. I said, Allah, I noticed that you are revealing things to me in life. You are revealing and showing me things I never really thought that I would have to, really pay attention to. And I said right then and there, I made that promise, that vow. I said, you know what? I'm tired of running from this. You keep trying to grab my attention about it. Fine. I surrender. I'm tired of running. Because at that point, like I said, I had been in college and trying to stay in college as hard as I could. Because with sickle cell, I kept getting sick at the beginning of every single semester, and I could not figure out why. But it was because my body was just pure exhausted. But come to find out, in a later understanding, it was just Allah telling me to sit my ass down and shut the hell up and just sit on the bench and just watch. And that's what Allah wanted me to do because I needed to see things. And it's always been like that. So anyway, I got tired of, trying to run, trying to ignore. And I said to Allah, I said, you know what? I'm here. Like I said, it's like a water dam, the floodgates, the levees break, and everything like that happened. And so days later, I go down here to Kroger's, bump in the face, and that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. Just me surrendering to God, asking if you want me to do this for real, send me a sign, send me someone in my life who I can build with, someone that understands this life. Because
Wow.
if you want me to be a vessel, being a vessel of Allah is a lonely life sometimes. So sometimes you need a companion along the way. And that's what I was asking of God. That's why I'm telling y'all that. So when it came about that me and her ran into one another, I knew that was Allah answering back to me. And I got my answer. And ever since then, it's been rocking. And the rest is history. And the Drop Squad formed days later. And here we all are, months later.
Beautiful.
Yeah, long story to tell.
Right.
I got a short version. So.
Well,
and greetings, Supreme.
Yes.
Well, we might as well just go around and Supreme came in.
Yeah,
He's here.
greetings, brother.
Supreme.
Peace. How y'all doing tonight?
We good.
Well, can I get your story, Kim? How did you come to know this anything about the Moors and Moor science and Bobby Hemmett?
So
How did you get into all this?
So I guess I was Islamic before I even ran into Brother Bobby. So I was practicing. Actually, I started with the lessons from the 5%ers.
Okay.
Then I went from there to the Nation, and then I went from there to, I don't want to be disrespectful, but Mohammedanism. And then somewhere in between there, left those lessons and came into spirituality. At the same time, studying not only Bobby's lessons but others as well, and came to a better understanding that I'm Islamic, but I'm not Arab.
Right.
So. Okay, so let me ask you some questions. Do you mind, Willa, if I ask you some? Okay.
This
so tell me, what is your interpretation, or what was your experience with the 5%ers? And then, well, just answer that question, because what made you break off from the 5%ers? What was lacking or missing in that doctrine?
That's a great question.
That was so long ago, I can't hardly remember those lessons, but I just felt that information was just not complete enough. I felt like there wasn't a lot of it based on the teachings of the brother who started it. It just didn't seem complete. And so I didn't even stay with it very long. You know, I studied a little of the lessons and I moved on from there. Just like, as I told you, progressively, I left all those different ideologies because I studied for a minute. I didn't see where I fit in that, and I kept moving. So right now, where I am now, I can say without a doubt, in searching to master myself, I am where I'm supposed to be at.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And Brother Supreme, can I ask you, how did you come into all of this?
Man, it's a long ass journey. But I would say it probably started with me in about the third grade.
The third grade?
Yes.
Damn, we behind, y'all.
Listen. The first thing I read was the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley. It took me on a journey to find out, who I was. And from there, the spiritual stuff, because I grew up in a Baptist home. That was like our upbringing. My father was Catholic though, and my old man was killed in the mid '80s and shit. So we kind of veered away from the Catholic shit more into the Baptist, because that's what my mother was. I done been non-denominational. Just a spiritual journey has brought me to this point. But I'm gonna break it down to you and give you a little bit of backstory with it. And from there, I found the Hebrew Israelites, and from that teaching, during that time, I was also involved in the redemption movement.
Now, what is that? I've never heard of that.
Okay, the redemption movement was, like the being slaves and shit, and trying to free yourself from the legal tyranny there. I don't know if you hip to, I think his name Harvey Dent. He was popular a couple years ago with the Social Security shit and all of that, the accounts and all that crazy shit. But that led me to nationality, because I found Yusuf L. During this time, and Brother Taj Tariq Bey.
Okay.
So this is how I got to the nationality part. from my background in wanting to be an activist and shit. I did youth activism um, in the middle '90s and shit. And Steve Coakley for real lit this fire. If
Oh,
you want to
okay.
be honest, so yeah, Steve Coakley lit this fire, and it just took me to the Hebrew Israelites, all of that, and I found the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I started reading that and started digging further into history because I love history. That was one of my loves, is just knowledge for real, but history and then law.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Same.
It all made pretty much sense of how we got in this position once I started researching it from Taj Tariq Bey and all the stuff that he was saying. And the history part brought me to the law part of the movement. So, like I said, this has been a spiritual journey for me over the last 30, 35, I would say 33 years of my life.
Okay. Wow.
Oh,
Faye, you want to tell us about you? I'm just curious. I hope this ain't too invasive. I'm
It's,
just curious how
it's
y'all.
all good, sis. It's all good. This is what we're here for, to connect and build with each other as Moors. You know, you good. You good. It's all.
Well, I started off as a good old Christian. Uh, and had no uh forethought of being anything else besides a good old Christian. Had no foresight of studying any other religion but Christianity as the viewpoint from how Christianity is taught. And one day I was watching, I believe the name of the show is Law and Order. And it was years ago. I haven't watched Law and Order in so many years, but that's had to be about, I'm gonna say 12. No, it hadn't been that long, but maybe about 8 or 9 years ago. And I was watching Law and Order, and I was getting ready for work. And I remember Adam, he had a case. And within that case, he knew he was gonna lose. He was like, I cannot win this case. I can't win this case. And he was talking to Captain Kirk. I forget his name on the show. But anyway, he said, well, what you got to do, Adam, is you got to make up, down, and down, up. And in that moment, as I was getting ready for work, it just hit me. I said, they have lied. They didn't change the whole world. I knew it was just like, just came out of nowhere. And I knew that. And so I immediately, when I got to work, I just got on the internet. I didn't even know what I was looking for. But I just started keying in stuff and looking for stuff. And as I was looking for different information, I ran into, and I don't even know how I ran into Noble Drew Ali on the State of Arkansas computer. I don't know. But this picture popped up of Noble Drew Ali. And when I went to YouTube and put that information in, different people started popping up. And I started just listening to those individuals. Arlene Bay, C. Freeman L. From there, Bobby Hemmett. From Bobby Hemmett, Panic. And I had no idea what any of these people were saying, but it intrigued me and I kept listening. And then I started buying books and I started reading and I started studying. But then I understood that I was a Moor and I didn't know any more Moors. And I was trying to tell people that I knew, hey, y'all, they got us in the trick bag.
And everybody looking at you like you crazy, right?
Right, like I'm
That's
hell
it.
she talking about?
That's the one.
Right, exactly.
With the blank stare.
You know,
And I was
crazy.
I was a fanatic about it, trying to get people to read and see what I was seeing, and nobody was reading and seeing. And one day I was at the library, city library, because every year, annually, they have the book sales, and I had started going there to buy books with my mom, and I ran into a Moor there, and he just kind of took me up on his wings, and I ran, RV Bay Publications, and start ordering from there. And then I had someone to talk to. And it's just been from there, just learning. And from him, I started meeting other Moors. I met over Shango L.
Right.
I don't know if y'all know Shango.
Shout out to Shango.
Here in Arkansas. Toronto Shango, over Shango L. And
I don't know who that
he
is.
led me.
First of all, who is it? For you,
Over Shango L is here in Arkansas. He created the 12-step process on proving that we are Moors through genetics.
Why can't we get him on the show?
We can. I will. I told Willa that last night that that we can get him on the show. He's very busy right now. I just talked to him a few minutes ago. The other day, he popped in on a conversation I was having with one of the people who work with him as far as getting doing the proclamation and all of that. I was speaking with her, and she clicked him in, and I got to speak with him for a minute. Yeah, that's over Shango.
Okay.
And so that's another website that you might want to check out too. Is Well Done over Shango in his OneDrive. That's where his OneDrive is. He got a lot of documentations in there. He has a lot of information, and also he has a lot of occult books as well. Oh my God, his occult book list is just off the chain.
That boy OneDrive is loaded.
It's a monster.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Supreme, you been in there?
I got it. I got it.
So I have another question for the panel. From what I'm gathering, you can have different people saying that they're Moors, or referring to themselves as Moors, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they subscribe to the prophet's teachings.
Right.
You cannot be a Moor and not ascribe to the prophet's teaching.
Right.
Period.
I've seen Moors like that though, and it's the most confusing of things to ever run across. It's like, wait a minute, what?
Well, I'm gonna change that statement. I retract my statement. We are Moors by genealogy. That's our pedigree. So we're Moors by pedigree. So I retract that. But our nation is based upon the teachings that the prophet brought to us. Okay, we're Moors whether we're conscious or not, because that's our pedigree.
Through our mother, especially.
Right, through our mothers. So what they're teaching and how we're gonna rise as a nation, we have to follow the prophet's teachings, period, point blank.
Okay. So here's another question for you. Did anybody else have any answer on it? Want to pick it up? Okay. What is
I wouldn't mind just saying that, just to reiterate, that's who I was talking about, Dawn, when you saw that post on that sister with the black headdress on. That's the sister who turned me on to Obashango about doing the blood by declaring the nationality by blood.
By blood. That's what you were referring to. Okay.
Right. And that was Obashango.
See how all our work, people just
right. And actually, I met Obashango L at a ritual. I met one of the Moabites who was a good friend of mine. A good friend of mine knew her, had met her at a reggae session or whatever class, and they started talking. And she had been knowing Obashango for years, but my friend girl grew up with Obashango.
Wow.
And she was like, "Oh, I
okay.
know Obashango," and so
Uh-huh.
we met at another lady's house, and he was there,
Oh, okay.
and he gave me his number. We got to talking, and I finally decided through talking to him and him texting me, I started my 11-step process in when did I start my 11-step process? I started it in July, but I didn't get my results back. And then I had to go and get my proclamation done. And then now I'm working. He just finished my bonds. So now I'm beginning to study my bonds so I can set them off.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what all that means, but I need to do it too.
Indeed.
But the 11-step process is the 11-step process is on his website, and you can print it off and just follow the steps. The phone numbers and the individual. Alanda is the person who's going to do your proclamation and your name correction. And then once you complete, well, while you're doing that, you get a 23andMe DNA kit and send that information off. And then you're going to get in contact with Tyrone, and Tyrone is going to write your descent. So you'll have 3 things that you have to mail: your proclamation, your name correction, and your letter of descent. Like mine is like 50-something. I believe it's like 53 pages. He actually does through the DNA markers. He actually does go through your markers, which they don't give you. They're gonna tell you come from, whatever. But he actually goes into your the 23andMe account and actually gets your genetic markers, and he writes up a descent for you. Because he's a geneticist.
Saying you're talking about Obashango, right?
No. His name is I just said his name, Tyrone Cannon.
And that's the Moor's doctor that'll handle doing your blood thing.
Right. He'll write up your descent based upon your DNA markers. Correct.
Wow.
By going through, like, he gets the actual DNA samples from 23andMe, or he gets your results?
Well, no, he goes into the database because they provide your markers, but because we don't know really how to read them, he knows how to read the markers. He writes your descent from the markers.
Well, interesting. That's interesting, because I've been very much not against, but not interested in doing any of those DNA results, because I'm like, well, what's the point if they're not even accounting for the original people that was here? I don't really care about what's over in Africa. I'm not about to go over there and look for no family. So I guess I never, I didn't understand.
It's love, sis.
So I'll revisit that idea now.
Gotta cross this first bridge before I start thinking about going over there. This place.
Go looking for some ancient tribes and some cousins over there.
Right.
What is that gonna do for me?
Gotta get a needle in the haystack.
Right. Gotta get the front yard cleaned up before we go doing all.
I did, however, y'all, have someone else, and just in this random Facebook group, had posted her results, and she was just saying, "Hey, I got my results, my results from whichever one of those companies."
Refute your blood. They can't refute your blood. Because most Moors are just using, jus soli. Jus soli is just by the territory, the land. But he's covering that plus the blood. That's why he calls us blood right heirs, because he's proven through DNA that we are who we say we are.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay,
and and there's no law higher than blood right.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes
that's why he does it.
Okay. Yeah, this girl, she took some kind of snapshot on her phone, and then she posted it in the Facebook group. And so another girl said, "Oh, you from Arkansas? I'm some kin to I forgot what the name was. For whatever reason, names escapes me. This is my grandmother's name." And she said, are you, they were trying to see if they were kin to each other. And so they decided they determined that they wasn't, because they were from different areas. And I said, wait a minute. My auntie, my great grandmother, Marie Crockett, she's from Duck Hill. So one of the girls said, we're from Mississippi. She didn't say where in Mississippi. The other girl said, I'm a Crockett from Arkansas. And so they determined because of that, they weren't related. And I said, well, wait a minute. My great grandmother is Marie Crockett from Duck Hill, Mississippi. Now, Duck Hill is like 700 people. Like, it's so tiny. And I didn't think anything of it. Well, she came back and said, well, that's where my family is from, Duck Hill, Mississippi. So it ended up that we are cousins, and my great grandmother and her uncle lived on the same plot of land. We still own the land.
Wow.
Right next to each other.
Yeah.
Wow. That's something.
Yep. Ain't that, and that's something else, not to cut you off from your bill, Dawn. I just want to say, like, that's how you know we know how to identify each other, because we do that. We'll stop, like I said, me and Faye met. We Moors. I don't like saying black folks. Moor. We really will stop whatever we're doing when we out in the store, and if we see somebody and we hear what their name is just by passing, then we stop in our tracks and be like, oh, hold up, wait, you from where?
That's my cousin.
It's so amazing how we do that, but it's the little things. It's the little things with me, people. I'm sorry. I'm a sentimental type of girl. I'm a sentimental woman.
No, that's all right. I got another question for the panelists. If somebody can explain to me, what is the difference between the Moors, MUURS, and the MOORS spelling? Is there a difference in the spellings?
I don't believe there.
No, more MUUR is just a more ancient way of spelling it.
Yeah.
And when we get into language, vowels are interchangeable. So the MOOR is just a more modern way of spelling it.
Right.
More ancient, more ancient, older terminology or spelling of Moor.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. I did see Aline Bay. He had a lecture not long ago where he was talking about the island of Moor and the
that's where it stemmed from.
And
the
then
Moor. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's just so much. It's so much.
Well, see, you got help though. Yep. You ahead of the game. It took me years to find help.
Yep.
And your father, Dawn, your father along today than you were this day last year.
Well, that's true. That is true.
And look where
you got your circle 7. So
and I got my circles. I feel like I'm really making progress. The only thing is I stopped on page 3. It's like,
but yeah.
Hey, but you getting there. Hey, everybody got a book, and everybody gotta open the book up. Everybody gotta start at the first page of every chapter of every book. Hey, just the fact that you good. Full circle.
Because it's just like, Arjuna and Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. These were not real. This is a battle within. This is not a real battle that happened. Right. You know what I'm saying? Arjuna, this, king. You know what I'm saying? He's not a real king. This is a story explaining what goes on in the body.
Right.
In the same way with the Bible. The Bible teaches a lot, and got a lot of witchcraft in there too. But anyway, moving on. I got a lot of tomatoes in there.
Let's talk about it.
It depends on how you use it. You can use. That's the thing about the Bible. It depends on how you use the person that's holding the Bible. It depends. It's just like how you say there's no such thing as evil people on earth. It's kind of like that. No matter what, whoever holding the Bible, they can be a good person or they can be a bad person. It all depends on them.
Their intent, right?
Right. It's all intent. And so, the Bible has a lot of lessons. And it talks about nationality, and birthright theft in there. Even when they're talking about Jacob, and Esau,
right?
And Jacob stealing Esau's birthright. You know, same story we're going through today. You know, it's just a story telling you, you know, truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an allegory.
Right.
You know, allegories tell you about, you know, spiritual truths. You know, and so no, these people were not real people. And then it's a funny story, real quickly. You know, it was one of the ladies. You know, as I was studying, she, you know, kind of started halfway listening. I thought, but she's an ordained minister. And then one day she came to me. She was like, "Girl, I was reading this article, and they found the what David was buried." I said, "Really?" They found what David, an English name, was buried. King David, really?
They give us one slave. They claim they brought us on, huh? Okay.
Right. Anyway, girl, bye. No, I'm just kidding, y'all. Go ahead. I'm just being silly. I said I wasn't gonna do that.
Well, I'm actually getting to a place like I'm very excited because you know, I tell you guys all the time, I'm coming at it from the spiritual, the occult side. And more than anything. And the more I start, I've been watching some of the videos on YouTube from the MOSLEM channel. And today I saw a couple of videos that really like sparked my interest. And one being where he talked about the womb woman. I'm saying the woman, sorry. And he was just explaining how, you know, in the Moor Science Temple, women, they can hold certain positions. It's not like you got to go sit down somewhere and be quiet and you can't, you know, they ain't no use for you like you find in other religious sects. And just knowing that, you know, they subscribe to that spirituality is science. So I just feel like this is just in line with things that I already resonate with.
Exactly. That's why it's going to be a lot easier too once you get into it, you know, and you start understanding that they coded a lot of civics in the Bible. A lot of civics is coded, you know, in the Bible, you know.
Yeah, and one of the guys that I was looking at actually was reading from the Koran, and he was talking about how the prophet wrote certain you know, wrote certain chapters and certain lines and verses, and he was like, it's meant for you to go within and process it and know it and have an understanding. And so that resonates with me because that's how I understand most things, which is like, you know, complete opposite of what your most Christians want to tell you, that you got to go to church for 57 years just for somebody to read one chapter to you and that they're going to interpret it to you, interpret it for you.
Right, but we have to remember that the church is full of Masons too, you know, and they keep people locked out of the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Of being able to go within.
That definitely was done on purpose to mislead and misdirect you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Especially.
I want to read something real quick.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what Dawn said. It says here in the Holy Quran, Surah 7, but man himself is not the body nor the soul. He is a spirit and a part of Allah. All right.
Now that's a good one. Let's talk about that. The difference between the spirit and the soul. Because my understanding has been that, well, I don't need to say what my understanding. Anybody take that question from me. What's the difference?
Supreme, I'm going to speak on that.
Supreme gone to sleep. You got to tell me y'all.
Where's Supreme at?
Supreme, you there? Supreme, Primo, hello.
Anyway, what was your question? What you had to say?
I want to talk about the difference between the soul and the spirit.
Hold on,
you know, as Bobby teaches us, anything and anybody can have a spirit, but only some of us have actual soul.
Right, you build your soul. Your soul is like a body that you build, a
Right.
vehicle. The spirit is the energy that emanates from that body. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you
Very
know,
good. Right.
how can I put it? Like how can a 5 to 130-pound man, you know, beat, you know, a 250-pound man that's 6'4"? How can he whoop his tail?
There
His
you go.
spirit. You see what I'm saying? He got more spirit. He
Right.
got more energy. You see what I'm saying?
That old saying that's not the bark in the dog, but the bite or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's the spirit.
It's not the size of the dog, but it's the is it
But
the
you know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the thing
something
is,
like
like she said, Dawn, you're when you don't know what your soul is, you're on that journey to know your higher self, your soul, that light. You're bringing it into existence, into the physical realm. You're finding this, like she said, the spirit is just an energy. That's a energy.
right.
And that soul is your actual light. It's your actual eternal existence that you're learning about in this physical realm.
That goes on even after you leave this physical body.
It's eternal.
It's eternal. Which is
If
interesting because
if that was not so, then we would never see those stars up there. Who are the stars?
Thank
Right.
you.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's why so
That's
many.
us. That's our answers.
and I wanted to touch on, I mean, now that you bring that up, because people have these misconceptions about what the tarot is. And I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, and they're, you know, they spooked out about it. Yet they don't know anything. They don't even know what it is.
Right.
And I try to explain to them the tarot is just a tool for you to see the soul's journey, where you are. It gives you a snapshot of where you are. The fool in the tarot is called the hero. And so all of those cards are just simply giving you a snapshot of where that fool is on this journey, or where the soul is, a development of the soul, where you are, what things are you dealing with, what things are you struggling with. It can give you a snapshot of that. So people being so spooked out about it, I'm still like, come on now, come on.
I want to answer
Go ahead.
This before I answer that question, I want to go back to answering your other question about the souls and the spirit. Watch this movie right here, I, Frankenstein. It's free on YouTube. Anyway, the point is, you were asking about the spirits and the souls and what's the difference. In this movie, they show you the gargoyles that guard, I think it's the church of Notre Dame that they got in
Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah, the gargoyles that's on top of that church in this movie, they are really the guardians of that church. And in the movie, they play these angels who are protecting Earth from the demons. And of course, the antagonist in the movie is is not the devil, but he's kind of close to it, you know. And in the movie, you see where they harvesting people, literally harvesting people. Like, you know how you got butterflies in their cocoon before they blossom. It's this warehouse that they got under the ground somewhere, and I shit you not, it's like 100 feet stories, I guess you could say, of these humans hanging in these cocoons. All of them are dead, and they say that. And he says, if we get it's some tool that they need in order to bring them alive. And he said, if we get this, he can bring all these people back alive, who they have the bodies, they just don't have any souls within them.
They had that same illustration in the Matrix as well. Remember when Neo woke up?
Yep. So check that movie out, Dawn, when you have kids too.
I know. I got this. I got a running list of all of Wilhelmina's movies.
Right.
Indeed.
Yeah, I have that movie as well.
Yeah.
I buy and keep movies like that. I have that movie as well.
Yeah, it's free on, like I say, on YouTube. It's a real good one. It's real good. But yeah, I wrote down. I'm keeping tabs on all of our talking points tonight. So this is gonna be a great bill that I don't even have to do much editing to. I can just
Right.
So want to go back to what you said earlier, Don, about Noble Drew Ali. I just want to ask a quick question to y'all. Is it just me growing up? I used to always see the picture of Noble Drew Ali, I guess in my grandmother's house or any of our elders whenever we would visit them, but I never knew that who the man was. But I would always see Noble Drew Ali either sitting, I think it was most of the time he would be sitting in that chair. Am I the only one who had that experience, or when is the first time that you all saw Noble Drew Ali? I'm curious about that myself.
Like I previously stated before, the first time I ever saw Noble was on the internet. Like I said, I don't even know how his picture popped up.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really remember, how his picture popped up. But when I start researching Moorish information, you know, I see more of his pictures, like people would have it in his picture in the background. And I still did not really understand what the noble had brought to us, and in order to free us, because I was like, y'all keep talking about Noble Drew Ali. Well, what do you say? Y'all talking about this man, he dead. And I did not understand, the prophet, nor his position within our nation.
Right.
And bringing us back into our nationality.
Right.
And I've just now recently, like I stated before, within the last 2 years, really started to understand his part in bringing us back into the fold of nations, and how important, his teachings and following his teachings are, and sticking close to what he brought, because he brought that from the spirit realm, as also our ancient teachings that we left behind. And it's so important to follow his teachings and to follow in his footsteps, and not to veer off that road, because that also gives us some protection, because we have to remember that he was a magus, meaning that he was a high wizard. And he left certain protection for us, as if we follow within those footsteps, because he is our prophet for our nation, just like Moses and the children of Israel. As they follow Moses, they were safe. You have to follow the teachings of Moses, right? Because that's the law. And that's our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, is the same. You know what I'm saying? We have to follow within in his footprints, because they keep us safe. We have protection behind it.
Right. That's something I love. I love to hear that, and I hope soon we do another build just off of that, because we clearly, Allah has brought us all together for a reason. Sister Dawn is very good in just knowing how to read people. She studied the tarot and many other metaphysic gifts that Sister Dawn has. So one day I'm hoping we get to that, as well as a study group that Brother Cam mentioned earlier as well. It's so many things that, oh my God, we just such a gifted group of people, and it's man.
So can I answer? I'll answer your question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Continue. I was gonna pass it back to you, Done. Since you
I wanted to answer that question. I remember first seeing his picture when the movie Malcolm X came out, but I would just see it from time to time. I would see that picture, but I didn't know who it was. Nobody actually went into the history and put a name to the face, but I would just see this picture all the time. And then honestly, it wasn't until Bobby Hemmett kept mentioning him that let me go see who this is. Bobby keeps saying, because he has such respect for him. So I'm like, okay, well, let me look into this and see who this is. And so I just did a little light research, and then you popped up on Instagram, and then from there, I'm here. So
Divine timing.
Divine, right, exactly. And just to go, just backtrack a little bit, you know, the tarot cards is in the Bible as well, Dawn.
I didn't know. What did it say? What did it say?
It's the little book that Saint in Revelations that Saint John 8, the little book. That's
The
what
little book.
it's called, the little book, and it's called in Revelations. And the whole story of Revelations is a chakra story.
Yeah.
And you know, the tarot cards are based on astrology.
Are you about to pull that up?
I can't.
Okay.
The little book.
Okay.
And I have a book. Let me go see if I can find it. This tarot book, which is based on the 52 playing cards, which has that information in there. And let me see if I can go find it real quick.
Well, yeah, I was spelling, and someone had posted in Facebook. This is a little side story about the gypsies. There's a documentary on YouTube about the gypsies, right? Yeah. And so I was explaining to her the whole Moorish connection to the gypsies, and part of why people didn't like, you know, they're associated with fortune telling and all this, you know, stuff, is because the Moors had taught them and given them the tarot. From my understanding, had developed the tarot and giving them the tarot to help build them up so that they could understand and access this information that we naturally can access.
Exactly.
And so that's also, you know, the Moors mixed with these Albions, and so you got your gypsies and your what you call Ashkenazi Jews. That's why they didn't like them, because of that black blood in them.
Yep, that's exactly why, and they want to deny that.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because this brother right here, I don't know if y'all are familiar with them, but I'm gonna send it to him. Follow him. His name is Uriah. He's on IG as well. I'll send that in the chat as well to y'all. He had a video not that very long ago. He broke down about the gypsies, the gypsy people, and it was a great bill. He makes a documentary. He does documentary making it all from his Galaxy phone. So he check his page out when you all have a chance. It's called UB News. Right here.
Well, I just sent some stuff about the little book and the seven thunders in your text.
Okay. Gotcha.
And the book that it came from.
Okay.
The mystic test book of the magic of the cards. That's where that information is found in that book. So when you're looking at the tarot cards, it's really just astrology.
Exactly. It really is just astrology.
Astrology.
And that's that's why I say that's why we can access this information within our body. We don't really need to, you know, because even your chakras.
The Akashic records.
Exactly.
You tap into that. Brother Bobby Hemmett be speaking on that, tapping into the Akashic records.
Now that Brother Supreme is back, we had a question. I done forgot what our question was.
The soul and the soul, for him to explain the difference between the soul and the spirit.
Yep. You were asking, that's what you were asking, Dawn, wasn't it? The difference between that?
I had. Was that the question for him?
Yeah, you want to know. You want to
know his take on it.
Yeah.
Do you have a take on that, Supreme, or no?
I do, but I want to tell you in an educated way. I don't want to sound stupid or retarded, or give my opinions of it. I do, but give me a second, and I'll get back to you on it.
Okay, we'll come back.
Your spirit. We was breaking this down probably a couple months ago about the spirit and the soul, and about them being different. I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna tell you how and why.
Okay.
1 second. 1 second.
Okay. So what were you at, Willow? You had moved on to something else.
No, I was getting the pictures that Sister Dawn sent to me. Where did they go?
I sent you some pictures.
Come on. No, not
You
you.
meant me.
Did I say Dawn? I meant Faye, my bad. I'm over here trying to work this damn computer. This was the book that Sister Faye was telling us about when you asked the question about the tarot, I believe, probably. Is this it? Here it is. There we go. The Mystic Test book, or the magic of the cards. Okay, so this is the book, right?
That's the book, and it's talking about the seven thunders in Revelation, which is talking about the,
I think
you
I've
know.
seen this book. I might even have it. Just ain't read it yet. Missed it.
Yeah, and it's talking about, and when the seven thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, but I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things uttered by the seven thunders. And of course, the seven thunders are the seven planets or seven wandering stars.
There you go.
And write them not. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and devoured it. And to my taste, it was sweet as honey. But as soon as I had devoured it, it became bitter unto my insides. And he said unto me, you must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. So, yeah, it's in the Bible. There it is.
There you go. There you go.
Well, it's so funny to me. People just freak out about it, and they don't know nothing about it. Like they don't know anything about it. And I put it this way. I'm like, to me, we are so out of alignment.
Right.
We're not even in alignment with conscious thought. We don't know what we feel and what we think and what we do. Be three different things. And your goal should be to bring yourself into alignment, not only with yourself, but with the Most High. So that you are making decisions that are logical, that are intuitive, and you're bringing both your logic and your intuition together so that you're not just doing things out of routine, or that somebody else told you to do, or that you are just acting because you're afraid, or you done got some negative entity attached to you that's controlling you. So why would you think that a tool that's designed to bring you into alignment there's something wrong with that? It's the person that's telling you to not get that way.
Exactly.
Is the one that's the problem.
Right.
Because that means you gotta stay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, you can't make sense to the uninitiated. And these things, some things come by spirit and spirit alone. And that's what I had to learn, even with talking to people about Moorish, our Moorish nationality. You really have to be initiated, meaning that you have to reach certain degrees to understand certain things.
That's a fact. Islam come in degrees. I self-law am master.
Right.
That's a fact, Miss Faye.
So what you got pulled up there, Willa?
Oh, I was pulling up. You made mention of the gypsies.
Yeah, I wanted to read that. What you were saying, what it said. The Egyptians are commonly known as gypsies.
Yeah, it was saying. Hold on, let me go back for you. This is the brother UB News on Instagram. He made the documentary. It says Egyptians, since you mentioned the gypsy people, and you know what's funny? If y'all watch on HBO Max, this TV show, it's called His Dark Materials. Watch that, the first 2 seasons. It's mind-blowing show, for real. Like I said before, a special drop squad member, I do have a HBO account set up for the drop squad.
Thank you very much.
Anytime y'all want to watch something, especially when it comes to building and learning something, hey, holla at your girl. I got you.
Mhm.
Anyway, carrying on. In that show, they have a people in that show that they call the gypsies. Now, mind you, in the show, animals, the way we think of animals, are not just wildlife, just animals. In that show, they think of animals as like, you know how they say the term spirit animals? Well, that's
Mhm.
They are. I was just gonna say that they are spirits. They different
right,
facets of man.
right, right. And in that show, their animals are called their soul.
Mm.
Ain't that wild? So their animal, check this out, as they're growing as little children up until they reach the peak of their adulthood, the animal changes throughout that time too. And then it settles on its final form of whatever animal it decides to land on.
Mm.
It's dope. It's a deep show. Anyway, in that show, they have a people called the gypsies, and these people are exactly like the gypsies that we know of kind of today. It's like the Romanian, the dark skinned, gypsy people that we know. They live outside of society, but they are people who know who they are, and they're their own people, and they take care of their own selves, if that makes sense, like we
Mhm.
are really supposed to. So it's a dope show.
And the
The-
name of that one is again?
His Dark Materials.
Okay.
His Dark Materials. It's on HBO. You're gonna love it. Y'all gonna fall in love with that show when you watch. Like I said, if you need the account password, I'm your girl. Holla
That's a
if
series, huh?
right. Holla if y'all need password or whatever. So I got you. So
Okay.
special for the Drop Squad people. I'll cut that out later. Anyway, since Don, you made mention of the gypsies.
Mhm.
So soon as you said that, I remembered that I sat and watched his latest documentary. He did this one last month, but it was such a dope build that he did. So when you made mention of the gypsies, I said I got to show bringing this to the build and show Dawn and let her see for herself on this. So have you
Well, I
finished?
always found that interesting that there's that Moorish connection, but they never they'll tell you about the people, and they'll tell you about how they went through the Holocaust with the Jews. They tell you all this stuff, but they always leave that Moorish connection out. They never tell you why the people were persecuted, or
Right,
why
they
they were in the
getting their
situation
ass
they were
whooped.
in.
Right. You mean we
Yeah.
just starting the story? It was a movie I saw the other day. It was starting the story where I think it was one the girl watched her mother. She was looking for her and found her in the town square. She was about to get stoned to death, and her father is the one that did it.
Mm.
He looked at the man that was the what do they call the judges? The peacekeeper of the town or something, justice of the peace, that type of dude. He looked at the man who said that he wanted his wife to be stoned, claiming that she cheated or did some type of adulterous uh act. What they call it, infidelity type of act or something.
Mhm.
So the man told him, he said, "Look, since it's your woman, you be the first one to cast the first stone, because we not gonna do it until you do it." And he gave a stone to him, and the man looked at his wife and he said, "I can't do it." And then he left like a little punk, and through the crowd, like, "I can't do it," and left everybody else though to just throw it. So it was weird. I'll
Mhm.
think of it in a minute, but it's crazy. But that is a good point, Don, because it's very odd how people in the entertainment industry, it's like learning history is like reading a book. However, you cannot start any book off. I don't care if it's Dr. Seuss, Green Eggs and Ham. You can't start off a book in the middle. You open up the book and you start from the middle. Yet that's what they do to us in everyday life. Like you
Mhm.
said, Don, they always, what would you say? They always talk about being persecuted or they had hardships, but nobody ever
Yeah.
says why.
Mhm.
Don't make sense.
So I have another question going back to Noble Drew Ali. I got another question for the panel, and maybe Supreme can also answer this one. What is the connection? A lot of times these days when people bring up Noble Drew Ali, you always hear them also bring up Marcus Garvey in the same sentence. He's another one I honestly have not looked into, so I don't know what that connection is. Do you guys know?
Yeah.
Why they always?
Marcus Garvey was the forerunner to the prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Right.
Oh, he's a forerunner.
Right.
Yeah.
They were what were they, Supreme? Were they best friends?
Yeah, they was cool.
Yes,
They
yeah.
was cool. They all come from the same,
Era and time.
yeah, and trying to uplift the Moorish nation. You call it black, but I wouldn't call it that. But to each his own. I'm not gonna say it, but yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Marcus Garvey was to Noble Drew Ali. Put it to you like this. Let's see. You know how in The Godfather you got the brothers, the Corleone brothers. You got Sonny, who's the crazy hot-headed one, and then you got Michael, right? It's kind of like that. Only the people took out. You saw what they did to Sonny, how they took him out, and then Michael was left to save the family and step in protecting the family. I hope I can use that as an analogy. I hope it makes sense.
They were brothers. They were brothers, and they helped each other. They worked together on a lot of different things, and they come up in that era where they were trying to uplift and wake our people up.
Right.
Not only him, Elijah Poole Bay, Master Farad, all them studied up under the Prophet Noble Drew Ali at this time. And then hold on, not only him, Clarence X.
Clarence X. Now that name is
Father Divine.
Yeah, Father Divine. He went and I think he started the 5% Nation.
Right.
And I think Clarence X, he started.
What was that he started?
Man, I can look it up real quick. Will, can you pull it up for me?
Yeah.
I don't want to be inaccurate.
Clarence X, right?
Yeah.
I thought he was the one that started the 5%ers.
Father Allah.
Father Allah, right. The 5%ers, but Clarence X started the shit. Can't remember.
This sound right. Crazy, they don't got many pictures.
A long time ago.
The Clarence 13X, the prophecy of Clarence.
Yep.
Okay.
Then right here, the 5%ers. Yeah, who is it? Who are they? Let's see if we can open this up on this link. See what they can tell us.
And all of these people, these individuals were adepts. So they understood high science.
Initiates.
Well, why would you say that Marcus Garvey promoted the idea of leaving America?
He did.
I mean, but why? If this is our land, why would he tell us to go?
Now that I can't tell you.
That's the confusing part.
Well, even though they were, him and Drew Ali were very close, they did have different ideologies about what was best for our people at that time. Marcus Garvey's idea was to just say, fuck it, and let's just get the hell up out of here and go back to Africa.
Right.
But of course, Noble Drew Ali's idea was, well, this is our land. Why would we leave our land? We need to teach people about what's up and where they stand on their land. So they didn't really, that's the unfortunate problem with our people back then, our elders back then. They just couldn't agree on how to really keep and gather all of our forces as one.
Yeah.
And that's the information that comes where information is lacking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Another reference point I got for you, Dawn. I don't know if you've seen the show. I recently watched it. What they call it? Binge watched the show Boardwalk Empire. It's between the last two seasons of the show. There's a character in the show named Dr. Narcisse, and when he premiered, and it's played by Jeffrey Wright, good brother Jeffrey Wright.
Oh.
In the show, what stuck out to me when Dr. Narcisse's character came into the story, he kept saying something about white people. He would refer to them not as white, not as crackers. He kept saying the word Nordic, and that's and then also he kept mentioning the nation called Libya. And when he kept saying it, I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's a Moor in this show, but really he's what you call a dirty Moor. So if you get the chance and watch
more,
you can peep the way that they walk, they behave in this show, because you're gonna learn a lot and understand a lot about us in the early 1920s and our decline in America and what was happening. With Dr. Narcisse's character, what I took away from it is, okay, you know how you had the movie American Gangster with Denzel Washington? He played a big drug dealer, right? With the blue magic. With Dr. Narcisse, when you look at him, he's like a grandfather to a person like Denzel Washington character in American Gangster. He played Lucius or Lucas, Frank Lucas. That's his name. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is just think of, when you watch these shows and these movies, think of them, because there's all it's showing you is a timeline. And all we have to do as the viewers is piece the dots together in these timelines. And then we can begin to understand really what's going on. See, that's what I learned to do, because during the 1800s, especially the late 1800s, in America, they teach us about the Civil War, don't they? Right? They tell us that the Civil War is where we come in the people. And that's for us, we get our freedom and it's on and popping. What they don't tell us is, and this is the funny part, what's going on in Europe at this time in the 1800s. That's the key to understanding where we are in the world. You can't ever read a book or a chronology, or as they call it, a book series or a series of movies. In order to fully understand, you need both sides to the story. You feel me? So that's my taking moment before we close out this show. Is almost 10:30. I want to leave the people with that, learn to look at everything in that mind frame, because when you're reading, you got to understand, read it in an aspect. Because when you read it as an aspect, okay, saying like, okay, well, this happening, well, what happened at this time over here around the corner at such and such's house or whatever, piecing it together like that, because then you get a feel of what the hell happened to a community. It's like living in the same neighborhood, watching one of your neighbor's houses burn down, and then 2 days later, another house burned down. And then the day after that, there's another house burning down. What's really going on? Why the houses, catching on fire in this neighborhood? That type of thing. So just remember that, my Moors and my people. I leave y'all with that. And I yield, to my fellow brothers and sisters, if they have any topics, more questions or anything, before we get out of here.
Final thoughts.
Yeah. Bring up,
Yeah. Anybody else got any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, whatever.
If Supreme has gathered his thoughts, I would love to hear his take on the soul and spirit. I haven't forgot.
Okay, now
with your soul,
My bad, Supreme. You sure did say that. I'm so sorry.
with your soul, I'ma say that the soul connects you to emotional shit, like feelings, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And your spirit connects you to the divine being or aspect of who you are, the universal God and the universe.
Isn't that opposite, Supreme?
Yeah, I would say that's opposite. I say you own it, but it's opposite. Because even with emotion, we know that is energy in motion.
Mm-hmm.
So if your spirit is the energy, then it's gonna change how with whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like your personality laid on top of your soul. Or like, Faye, like if you was to read somebody's astrological chart, your astrological chart shows you kind of what the spirit is like their personality, but the soul is going to be eternal. It's going to be the same.
Well, I would say what makes you feel emotions, rather, is would be a part of the soul, and the spirit is.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like connects you to the higher self, and
yeah, I could definitely see that, especially if your soul incarnates into a specific family and you need to learn a certain lesson, you're going to be drawn to certain things. Like we drawn to this work, but maybe the rest of our family ain't. Right. So there's something in our soul that inspires us to look for something beyond what everybody else is looking at.
Yeah, I agree. I concur with that.
All right. Anybody, any final thoughts? Anybody? Cam, how you doing over there?
Everything great. I was just going to piggyback on what she was saying about having a complete overstanding about what was happening over there in Britain. At the same time, the brothers was going what they were going through here, because them motherfuckers over there are responsible for the shit that we're going through now.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh yeah, they kicked us in the ass real good.
Yeah, they fooled us. They tricked our ancestors real good back then and took that shit and ran the football to the goalpost.
You better believe.
And we have to remember, this just been an ancient war that's been going on with certain fashions of Moors. We give these Abians way too much credit for our downfall.
Right. They got credit writing checks that they behind cannot cash. They ain't got the money to even cash the checks that they be writing.
Right. So they not in the, like Bobby said, they might be running around this bitch, but they ain't running nothing.
Right.
And we have to always remember that hidden hand is probably look like yours and mine.
Dig that.
Islam. For real. Watch the watch that, because that's exactly what happened in Armistead. They kicked our ass in that shit. Armistead is a movie that entails just what Brother Cam and Sister Faye talking about, people. Just watch it. You'll see.
And I'm just gonna read this before anybody else have the last word. I just want to read this coming from the Holy Koran, Circle 7.
Yes, sir.
But man will regain his lost estate, his heritage, but he must do it in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Yet he must suffer trials and temptations manifold, but let him know that cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun and spirit of the mighty Allah, who rule the solar stars, are his protectors and his guide, and they will lead to victory. Man will be fully saved, redeemed, perfected by the things he suffers on the plane of flesh and on the plane of soul. When man has conquered carnal things, his garb of flesh will then have served its purpose well, and it will fall. will be no more.
Mm.
Yep.
Now,
you
what
building
chapter was that?
soul.
You didn't tell us
That
what
was
chapter
very
that was.
profound. If you heard that, go back and read it. That's very profound. That's in chapter 1,
Okay.
the creation and fall of man. It's
Who
right
knows
toward
what
the,
the? I'm sorry. Go
it's
ahead.
right toward the end of that chapter. That's very
Okay.
profound. That talked on just what we talked about, the soul, on regaining our rights, on regaining our air, and it's very profound.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I'm not a nationalized Moor yet.
Hey, we all work in progress to that, so don't feel bad. I'm still studying and preparing myself to make that move.
Did you catch that, Dawn? Did you hear that?
What part? Yes, I heard everything.
And go back and read that again.
Beautiful, Brother Cam. Beautiful. Thank you for that. I'm just making my notes and timestamps over here. That was beautiful. This is a beautiful
bill period tonight. I really enjoyed this, and I looked forward to it. I came right from outside, didn't take no clothes off, didn't do nothing, and signed in. It's very good bill. I appreciate it and gratitude for all y'all for even taking your time out so we can do this thing. We need to do it more in depth, and we need to build further.
Right.
Yes, indeed. We need to bring some people that do want to get the process done to the private side, so we can get them together and point them in the right direction.
Indeed, for real.
And have our own. We'll have our own family. We'll have our own community within the community.
Right.
And this is going to build, and it's going to grow, and it's going to become abundant. I say.
You done spoke it, I say.
Okay. Well, man.
Well
thank you, Sister Willa. We never thank you enough. You always thanking us, but thank you.
I know that's right. She does such work. She does great work. She works hard. I know she does. We were talking earlier in the week, and I was messing with her about how she loved to talk. She loved to write, and we're gonna build from that.
Indeed. Thank you, Brother Cameron. Once again, thank y'all, my rocks. That's what y'all are to me. You know, as I told Sister Faye before, y'all have been my rocks, and whenever I need a little help, a little guidance, y'all always there. So I have to thank y'all. Most of all as well too. Life is a two-way, street. It's not just one person. It's a collective working together as a team. And if I don't do nothing else on this earth, as long as I live, I'm happy that I was able to bring my sisters and my brothers together. It's always about family to me, and I guess as a Cancer, as a water sign, as a Cancer, they say the Cancer is the protector of the family. So that's my journey. That's what I consider my life mission, to bring my people together. So.
And you can't do this on your own. You got to have family. You got to you got to have your tribe to do this. You can't do it alone.
Right. You know.
Yep.
I know how to bring people together. I do know how to do that. I know how to approach people, with a smile on my face, not be, too timid or anything. I know how to do that now, and strike up conversations with anybody. And just by doing that, I'm a connector out here. So, hey, if this is the life Allah has dealt me, I'm gonna do it to the fullest. Allah chose me for a reason to be one of his warriors, and I will not run. I will not stray from this mission. It is what it is. I'm here, and I'm happy that
and we're gonna be able to build even more, because you're not that far away. I'm here in Memphis, and you're right there, and Sister Faye is right there. Hey. So we're gonna be able to build.
Yes, indeed. That's what I'm talking. And Supreme.
If we get Dawn to bring her cell phone back to the M-Town,
Exactly. Supreme is right beside us too, in Missouri. It's St. Louis Supreme, is it?
Yeah.
Right there. So none of us on the right now are far from each other, apart from them. being in the West Coast, but
Exactly.
yes, thank y'all. Before I close out, I do want